How's it going, everybody? It's Ben from the Ben and Bev channel. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel's What If, Episode 8, What If Ultron Won? The episode kicks off with a phenomenal opening fight sequence between the Ultron hive mind drones, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. Definitely channeling the old man Hawkeye vibes from those comics, a solid nod. And we get this really phenomenal fight sequence that really channels the Genji Tarkovsky Samurai Jack, or perhaps his Clone Wars that he did for Cartoon Network.
It was him that did that, right?
Has a really nice stylized flair and is executed with elegance, especially compared to some of the clunkier episodes in this series. It actually shows you the full action potential that this show can bring. Even the animation style looks good in this week's episode. It really feels like they went above and beyond, and not just for this opening sequence. The episode moves on and the Watcher takes us back in time, and we get to see what happens as Ultron begins his journey to full power. It's very well executed, and you really feel the sense of emotion as Ultron builds his purpose and just wants to eradicate life on every single planet. And you get to see these different characters in the MCU interact with him. It usually leads to their demise, no matter who they are. He even goes fist to fist with Captain Marvel. Thanos himself doesn't even seem much a threat, as we saw that tease earlier. He has all of the Infinity Stones embedded into his chest. He has Vision's body, and he's wearing the Ultron suit is almost like a helmet instead of armor. Which in that initial teaser at the end of last week's episode I thought looked a little bit goofy, but it was executed really well and it's animated beautifully. Some phenomenal fight sequences the whole episode. It really is top tier stuff. They definitely reach for this second to last episode, and I'm really excited for this next one because the storyline in this week's episode directly ends up interacting the Watcher. He has to kind of break his code a little bit and directly come in conflict with Ultron. It's a big part of the episode as you go forward, as you see how they interact with one another and show the balance in their powers. You definitely see why Jeffrey Wright is number one on this cast list. Yeah, this week's episode is 100% the best by far and actually seems to elevate this whole season, and it makes every other episode before this feel a lot more significant in the grand scheme of things, as it actually brings a central plot line together for the whole series. Also, the voice cast was phenomenal. Besides Jeffrey Wright and Jeremy Renner, most of it is actually just voice cast actors, not the MCU actors returning to voice the roles, and they did a phenomenal job of capturing the same essence and energy. The characters that they were presenting, particularly the person that was voicing Ultron, they did a great job developing a different take on the James Spader tone. Ultron has evolved here and has a bunch of different power sets, and his voice is becoming deeper and more distorted. He becomes basically a mechanized god. Truly intriguing story, and one that isn't wrapped up at the end of the episode, which actually has me really excited and really nervous for next week's episode, especially with how this roller coaster ride has been with each week. I've said previously, the animation style isn't particularly my favorite, and week to week, sometimes the plot is better than every other aspect of the episode, and other times the action's better than the plot is for the episode.
Not with this week's episode.
Well, a lot of these episodes to me have been somewhere in the 6 or 7 range. This episode is a leap and a bound above those, and honestly has me a little confused why they didn't share some of this perfected animated Marvel What If energy with some of the episodes previous, especially with some of the voice cast that they had. It was interesting that when that voice cast was present, sometimes other elements of the story didn't appear to be able to be as strong. It doesn't make any sense to me in the grand scheme of things, because you know they had a serious amount of money to make this show. What did you guys think of Crazy Ultron's return? Let us know in the comments below. Ben and Bev, out.
So I didn't really have like a Watcher pop, so I had this like Stan Lee pop that I figured I'd use because, I mean, he's technically a Watcher, right? That was canon.